You may qualify to be a U.S. citizen if you have been a green card holder or a lawful permanent resident for at least 3 years if you are married to a U.S. citizen, or for at least 5 years. This means that you can apply either under the 3-year rule or under the 5-year rule for citizenship. The 3-year rule if you've been an LPR for 3 years, lawful permanent resident for 3 years, and you are married to a U.S. citizen, and under the 5-year rule if you've been a lawful permanent resident for 5 years at least. And so in order to apply for U.S. citizenship through the process of naturalization, you also need to meet 3 rules of residency. The first is the continuous presence rule. Under this rule, you have to show that you've continuously resided or lived in the U.S. for at least 3 years or 5 years after you became a lawful permanent resident or after you obtained your green card, depending on the basis under which you're applying. To meet this rule, it means that if you're applying under the 3-year rule, you should not have spent more than 6 months outside the US for the last 3 years. And if you're applying under the 5-year rule, you should not have spent more than 6 months at a time outside the US within the last 5 years. If you spend, for example,
before your application for naturalization
within the last 5 years preceding the application of your naturalization, then you would be said to have broken the continuous presence rule for naturalization. The second rule is the physical presence rule. And under this rule, you have to show that you have been physically present in the United States for at least half of your statutory period. And so if you're applying under the 3-year rule, you have to show you've been in the US physically present for at least 18 months within the last 3 years immediately before you filed your US citizenship application. If you're applying under the 5-year rule, you have to show that you've been physically present for at least 30 months during the last 5 years immediately preceding your citizenship application. The third rule is the district residence rule. You have to show that you have lived in the state or the USCIS district with jurisdiction over your place of residence for at least 3 months before you file your US citizenship application. And so, for example, if you moved from New York to Virginia and it's just been a month, you should wait for 3 months in that district or in that state before you submit your application for naturalization. Please also remember that all 3 rules out of 3 residency rules have to be met in order for you to be eligible for naturalization. I hope this helps. All the best. Follow me for more.